Yeah.
All right, excellent. So welcome everyone to this exciting webinar on problem solving and decision making across supply chain managers. My name is Sanjay Saha from skill. So very systems expert. I hope able to hear me and see me on screen. For today, we have Mr. P.O. Divasov, who's a senior supply chain expert. He's worked extensively in Africa and Asia. He will talk more about the problem-solving techniques later on. While I will start introductions and the theoretical aspect to AI problem. As we start the webinar, I request all of you to start putting your quick introduction on the chat. The chat box is open. Write your name, your location, your organization and job role. These 3-4 things so that everybody knows who you are and who you are joining from. For today's webinar, there's going to be a certificate of participation that will be awarded to all the participants who stay until the end and complete the course webinar. So anyone who has not completed the survey will not be awarded the certificate. The certificate will be from Reskilled and be CPD accredited institution. Okay, so let's begin. Next slide, show. Next slide. Yes, thank you so much. So for today, let's look at the agenda very quick. Welcome and introduction, then basic idea on why problem solving and supply chain is a critical activity. Then we will go through a theoretical and practical overview of understanding how to go through problem solving, starting from understanding problems, whether you see systems or the problems. From there, looking at the root causes, how to identify those root causes, how to solve those root causes, and how to create a decision matrix to find the right decision to solve them. Then there are going to be some checking polls and quizzes, and at the end we will also give you an overview of the course, which is for problem solving and smart decision making for some emergencies. Next slide. Yes, so for today's webinar, like I said, I will get it started. We'll talk about briefly on why problem solving is critical and what are the approaches. Then Mr. Pierre Duvasson will take you through a practical example. After that, we will get a of the course, problem solving and smart decision making for financial managers. And we will also hear from 3 supply chain managers and supervisors from Nigeria who have already gone through this course. And they will talk about how this course has led to positive outcomes at their workplace. At the end of the webinar, there is going to be a survey. So please participate in the survey to receive your certificate. Next slide. Where you can also maybe give me slide control. Quite simply.
Yeah, you have the slide control, Sanjay.
I don't think so. You can see it. Please can you go next? Next. While I'm speaking, check out the slide control options. All right. So in supply chains, we see a lot of issues, I would say, to start with. I will use the term issues or something that is not working right now. For example, as you see on screen, you see a room, and in the room, the paint on the walls is coming off. And of course, this is no problem. Now, a quick solution would be to repaint the house or repaint the walls. But do you think that would fix the problem? Would it stop this from occurring, or this paint getting off? Will this stop it? Or would you like to find a solution that would stop the problem at once and will not be any other seepage or paint coming off later? So we need to figure out, whenever we see a problem or something that is not working out, we need to figure out what is it that is causing the problem, and then try to find solutions. A lot of time in supply chains, what we do is that whenever there is something that is not working out, we are very quick to find the solution. And more often than not, those solutions are very temporary and they're quick fixes. So what happens is, for the time being, we fix the problem, but then the problem reoccurs after a time. And then it keeps on reoccurring until we fix the root cause. So in today's webinar, what we will try to explain it to you is that these kind of symptoms that you see in supply chains, they can be seen. They are not the real problem, or they are not the root cause of the problem. So then the question begs, how do you solve this problem? This is what we will do Excellent. So, as I said earlier, if you don't analyze your problems, for example, there is a problem that in your health facility, products are getting expired quite often, and there could be multiple reasons to that. So, one option for you would be to quickly dispense all your products so that they don't expire. But would that be the right solution? Would that solution stop expiries from happening? Or would you like to know what is the root cause of this problem? Why the products in the facility keep on expiring before dispensing? So a lot of time, these kind of superficial problem analysis or quick fixes, they lead to no impact. So no impact means nothing sustains. So these kind of problems keep on recurring. And there are multiple problems that we face in our health supply chains on annual basis. Okay, so the problem lies here. The problem that lies here is that the root causes of these issues or problems, the things that are not working out, they are rarely diagnosed. But we don't use a structured framework to go down to the root causes of these problems. And hence, the solution that we apply, they are only applied to visible issues rather than the underlying process. And that's why eventually you don't see much impact. Let's So now you can ask me, so then how do we solve it? So what is the best way of doing it? What is the structured way of solving our problems? So let me take you through a basic problem solving journey. We will look at it from a theoretical point of view, and then I will hand it over to you. We will take you through a proper exercise and give you a rather deeper understanding of how to go down to the root causes of the problem and find the right solutions. Next slide. So as you see on the screen, let's start with a basic, human symptom. You have a pain in your body, and instead of going to the doctor and trying to figure out what is causing that pain, you take a paracetamol. Maybe the pain goes away for a while, but the pain returns because you are not acting on the cause of the problem. You're rather acting to alleviate the symptom. The symptom is the pain that you are experiencing. Now, if you go to a doctor and the doctor does some diagnosis, maybe gets an MRI, a CT scan, or blood test, whatever, and the doctor suggests that the pain is being caused by the stone in your kidney. So, of course, taking paracetamol or a combination of analgesics will not solve your pain. You will have to get rid of that stone from your kidney, which is causing that pain. Similarly, in supply chains, a lot of times what you see is, the symptoms are the symptom. Now see the other graphic on the screen, where the symptoms are the leaves on a tree. So you're looking at those symptoms. However, the actual causes are beneath the ground. They are the root causes. So a lot of times we act to resolve those symptoms which are visible, while we do not act to resolve the problem, or rather the root causes of those symptoms which are beneath the veil. Okay. Again, addressing symptoms may provide temporary relief, but it does not resolve the underlying issue. Yeah. So as you see, the causes are beneath the ground, which are more important to understand rather than solving the symptoms that you see. So root cause analysis, which is a technique to diagnose a problem, it helps understand the underlying factors that contributes to those symptoms that you are seeing, the visible ones. For example, stockouts that you are experiencing in the facility, or products getting expired frequently, or receiving poor data that is not helping you in the quantification activity, or for example, your orders getting delayed every minute. These are the visible symptoms, but the underlying causes could be very different than what you think looking at the symptoms. So, effective remedial actions, or rather solutions, if you are designing your remedial actions or solutions looking at the visible symptoms, you will not solve the problem. The problem will come back. So, you need to take a look at what is causing that problem, what is causing that symptom, and then design your remedial action, the solutions to once and for all alleviate the cause. Stop it from happening once and for all. That is uh, what we do when we use a structured method to diagnose problems and solve. Eventually, once you identify the root causes of problems and create your solutions to address the root causes, you will see that the improvements that you make, they will be more sustainable and long lasting. The problem may still appear. We are not saying that the problem may not appear at all. It may still appear, but then at that point, it may have a different cause. Okay. But the frequency of those problems may get reduced severely if we use a more structured approach. So, as a supply chain manager, or as an aspiring supply chain manager or a supervisor, you must know how to use a structured method to diagnose problems and solve them sustainably. Because if you don't, then you will be stuck in firefighting all the time, while you should be focusing on your professional growth and the growth of your organization. Next slide. So, how do you plan remedial actions? So, once you have identified the root causes, based on the root causes to address them, then you find the most appropriate remedial actions or solutions. Those solutions, to implement them, you have to develop a clear implementation plan. You have to assign roles on who will do what to address that problem. And you have to build a case for the leadership based on the evidence that you have gathered using this approach. Because if you want to solve a problem, it may take some time, it may require some budget, and of course, it will require you to get approval from your senior manager. Until unless, of course, you have the authority to make changes. If you have the authority to make changes, that's great. But if you don't, then you will have to build a case on why you want to solve the problem in this particular way. Hence, you need to be very structured and methodical while trying to address a problem which you are seeing on a daily, weekly basis. Next slide. Finally, taking the right decisions. To solve a problem, there could be different types of solutions and different types of decisions that you can make. However, a set of decisions may have, uh, you know, different a set of different outcomes. So if you take decision A, it will lead to a particular outcome. If you take decision B, it may lead to a slightly different outcome. And you have to ensure that the outcome that is being reached is the best outcome based on your need. Hence, you need to use a more structured approach to even make those decisions. And this is where something called a decision tree framework comes in handy. As a manager, as a supervisor, you must know how to create or arrive at the right decisions to solve your problems. And today we will also look at a decision tree matrix that we can apply as a manager or a supervisor in supply chain, or if you want to learn creating or applying a decision tree matrix framework to problem solving and decision. Excellent. So I will stop here. This was uh, my part. I've taken you through a basic journey on how to diagnose problems, understand what is causing the symptoms that you are seeing every now and then. Once you find those root causes, figure out how do you solve them, and take the right decisions and implement them using a structured implementation plan. For the next 30 to 40 minutes, Peer will work with you to identify your problems, analyze the symptoms, determine the root causes of that particular problem, and find the optimal remedial actions. And he will use all the techniques that I've talked about, root cause analysis, using 5 whys, then using a decision tree matrix to find the right decisions. So all those techniques you will use throughout this process. So at this point, I would take your leave. And I expect to stay by the end of the webinar so that you can hear from our managers from Nigeria and also participate in the post webinar. So Pierre, over to you, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Sanjay. Um, so Sanjay talked about the theory of problem solving, and I will run you through actually a precise example that I faced in one of the sub-Saharan countries I've had the privilege to be a technical assistant for. Now take a step back. You remember there's probably 4 steps in problem solving. The first one is to acknowledge that there's a problem. Number 2 is to identify the symptoms. So I will change a little bit this slide because if there is no problem, then there's nothing to be solved. So the first step is definitely to acknowledge that there's a problem. Then number 2 is to go into the methodology of problem solving and identifying that there's a symptom, that it's a symptom of something deeper. Step number 2. Step number 3, if you agree that it's a symptom of something deeper, then there's a proper methodology to root cause. We still internally debating if root causing is a proper English, but basically we need to determine the root causes of this symptom. And then when the root causes have been found, then the next step is to make a decision to propose remedial actions and to implement them. So it's actually a proper process. The funny thing is that we formalizing all that on slides and with a course, e-learning course, but actually in reality you do that naturally. And Sanjay took a picture of a room that was wet with water ingress. We do that naturally. We don't have to be so formal. But the idea of this course and this webinar is to say that actually there's a formal way to do it more efficiently. And that's our experience that in the supply chain of public health, this formal way of solving problem has not been implemented well and optimized to actually eradicate symptoms through that process and then solve problems. So that's the reason, that's the genesis of this course. Next slide, please. So now let's have a proper example. And I would like some of you, because we are about 51 actually in this webinar, to maybe raise the hand and tell us what they see in this picture. That, despite the picture, Shreya is not very, it's a little bit blurry. That as well we could improve, but do you see something that might constitute a problem? And is it a symptom of something bigger? Over to you. Who would like to speak? Don't be shy. It's not because we are Saturday that you need to be shy. Who would like to speak and see and explain something? Well,
Hi, I'm
it's written.
Raj here.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
I have seen here this is more cluttered. It will be very difficult for the person who's dispensing or person who's in the warehouse. It'll be difficult to even to notice what is in what place. So it is more cluttered. That is what I've
Exactly.
seen here, and it will take time for them to sort out if there and there can be mix up of items within the zone that they have put these products. And to see here, like it can be tablets or capsules, or maybe it can be some devices, or maybe it was like some kind of test kits or something, which is, I don't know. It's not very clear, but if they are putting all together in one point and there's no proper demarcation, it's going to be a problem in the later in the supply chain and in the, at the even at the last mile delivery. This would cause a problem. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Very good, very good input. Indeed, I forgot to tell the context. This is the pharmacy of a provincial hospital. So that's the reason why the stock is tiny. But I think you're right, saying that there's no demarcation between one bin where there's one specific type of product and the other one. There's not even stock cards, which is not right. You're perfectly right in saying these things. Now, the shelf, in the pros, we could say that the shelves look relatively clean. Um, 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 it, it's not a metal and aluminum pharmaceutical cabinet, but it's something that we see often at the peripheral level. Yes, Mr. James.
Yes, thank you so much. This is James from South Sudan. The example you have shown is relatively a supply chain problem across South Sudan as one example. Because one, apart from the sorting out and the labeling, there is also a problem of the language of the medicine itself.
Yes.
We had a scenario that in South Sudan there are Chinese clinics or Chinese hospitals, but majority of them they wrote the prescription using their language, which means that that medicine will not be found outside Chinese premises. So the patient, instead, the patient, because sometimes the medicine could be expensive within the patient, within Chinese clinics or hospital, but maybe outside if it is written in the language of the, or in the language like English, because English is official language in South Sudan. And sometimes we have Arabic. If it is written in Arabic, we can also read, because South Sudan is also used second language as English, as Arabic. There are also some prescription which came in Arabic, and also we can read and also prescribe. That is the bigger supply chain problem. In the aspect of importing the medicine, they should supposed to know which medicine are coming with which language, because the language of the origin of the country recipient is the most important thing. Because a medicine could not be circulated in a country where the Chinese language is not an official language, which many cannot read.
Exactly.
So across Africa, we have these challenges of the language. Another good example is that we had 3 years ago, we had a donation coming from Turkey, and that donation is written in a Turkey language. So it was very difficult for us at the Central Medical Store to sort out those items, because the language was only Turkey language. So it is very difficult for us also to sort out this supply chain commodity. So it is a problem across over from my side.
Yes. So, Mr. James, exactly, you bang on. And the funny thing is that you take this picture to apply to your own context, which is South Sudan, and then even broader countries, in other countries in Africa. Yes, often there's been donations from various donors, and often the labeling is from the origin of the manufacturers, but doesn't meet the official languages, I would say, because you said Arabic is a language that is official in South Sudan, and then English is the second one. And here is in Mandarin, in Chinese. So you
No,
did
the English is the past. English is the first official language.
Sorry. Yes, English is the first, and then Arabic could be a second
Arabic
one.
can be read. Yeah.
Yes. Excuse me about that. And so here you acknowledge that it's a problem. Yes, it's a problem because as a consequence, prescribers and then patients might be misinformed. They cannot read the leaflet inside. They cannot even read the name, the proper name of the product. So this is not meeting the local requirements. It's a problem. You're right. Now, if it's a problem, then we enter the intellectual pathway, the intellectual journey to say, well, if it's a problem, is it a symptom of something deeper? And I think, Mr. James, you started to go this way. You say, yes, it's a problem. So you acknowledge that it's a problem. Then you move into, yes, it's a symptom because there's something else underneath. So thank you for your intervention. Next slide. And if you acknowledge that it's a problem and if you identify that it's a symptom, then you go into different methodologies to actually try to identify the root causes. One of the few methodologies is called the 5 whys, which is very simple. You ask 5 times why. So the first one, the first why could be the following. Why were medicines with labels in a foreign language distributed? And the answer to that could be the medicines were donated by one of the country's donors and imported via diplomatic route, which bypassed the standard regulatory checks required for imported medicine. here comes the second why. Why did the facility staff didn't catch this during the inspection? And the answer to that could be since the medicines arrived through a diplomatic route, the facility staff did not perform their usual inspection of the donation, leading to the oversight of the language compliance. Then we run into the third why. Why did not the stock manager identify the labeling problem? And the answer to that could be the facility stock manager did not identify the labeling issue because they were not trained and made aware of pharmaceutical regulation requiring labels to be in the national languages. Here comes the fourth why. Why were not the staff aware of this regulation? And the answer could be the country's pharmaceutical regulatory agency has not been strengthened enough for their role in setting regulation and in inspecting for enforcing the regulatory standards. So you see how by asking 5 times why, you could slowly move into deeper reasons of this symptom. Next slide, Cheryl, please. And now, Shreya, I believe there's a poll here. So you will see prompted in the Zoom a questionnaire, and we will ask you to answer the question: what is the most likely root cause of this problem? So this is basically the fifth why of this exercise. Number one, facility staff did not inspect the donated pharmacy carefully. Number two, donors bypassed regulatory checks by using diplomatic import routes. Number three, the pharmaceutical regulatory authority lacks capacity to enforce labeling regulation. And the last one, medicines were poorly managed at the health facility storeroom. So can you please answer that question and try to identify what could be for this example, very pragmatic example, what could be the root cause? And again, this is just one context. So I will give you a little bit of time to click what do you think is the root cause. Over to you. Shreya, when you think the majority of the 36 people answered, then you could close the poll, please.
Yeah. Just wait for
Please,
15 more seconds.
Yes, please participate if you understood the logic and the intellectual pathway of asking 5 times why to get to from the symptom to the root cause. So here you have the answer, which is number 3. The pharmaceutical regulatory authority lacks capacity to enforce labeling regulation. Do you have the statistics, Shreya, by any chance?
Yeah, I think it's not visible to you. Maybe I'll let you know. So it is 14% of the people selected the first option. 29% of the participants selected the second. 49%, which is the majority, selected the third, and
Okay.
9% selected the fourth.
Okay, so that's interesting to understand that actually 50% of the 60 participants went for the good answer, which is the number 3, the pharmaceutical regulatory authority lacks capacity to enforce labeling regulation. So remember that I mentioned to you that it was at the peripheral level, that was a provincial hospital. So the role of a provincial hospital is actually not the gatekeeper at the central level before importation. And therefore, that's probably not their role to inspect donated pharmacy. It should, the donated pharmacy product should go to the central level and be distributed. And often they are not trained for this kind of inspection. It is done just at the central level. Then it's not a root cause that donors bypass regulatory checks by using diplomatic import routes. This is not the root cause, because if we ask why donors bypass regulatory checks, we go to actually number 3, is because pharmaceutical regulatory authority lacks capacity to enforce labeling regulation. And number 4 is not the main root cause. So this is how you're able to go through this methodology and end up with actually the main root cause. Of course, there's always secondary or tertiary root causes that could be solved, but it will have not a full impact. The real root cause is that the regulatory authority should do their job in setting the law on donations, number 1. Number 2, to inspect. And number 3, when there's an inspection that is not working well, then to be able to actually have a remedial action, and sometimes to give penalties, sometimes to decommission when the stakeholder doesn't meet the domestic regulations. Over to you, Shreya, for the next slide, please. So this problem was identified in the health center stock. So it's a peripheral level, but the root cause methodology helped us actually to find a problem that is at the central level, at one of the major functions in the supply chain, which is called regulatory function. And often this role is assigned to an agency that is called a regulatory agency. So you see what is the journey, intellectual journey we did. We start from a symptom that is in a peripheral health site. And by asking 5 times why, we ended up at the central level, and another, a very different stakeholder called a regulatory agency. So that's the reason why actually this methodology is very powerful. Over to you, Shreya. Again, I think I've touched upon that. It's very important to distinguish the root cause and the symptoms. The only way to do it is through a proper methodology. The symptoms were medicine labeled in foreign language. Staff cannot read the medicine information, and therefore patients cannot understand usage instructions. And the root cause is a potential root cause, let's say, according to our assumptions, is the pharmaceutical regulatory agency lacks capacity. Next one, Shreya. Sorry, I have a little bit of noise in the background, and I think, do you mind closing the window? Okay, no. It's often, and now let's uncover a little more. Actually, I will close the window if you don't mind. A further analysis of this root cause is often a political decision to empower pharmaceutical regulatory authority. Because donors are very powerful. They give something to the country. So often a gift is always welcome. But we discovered that because there's an impact to the patients and to the prescribers, a gift could be a good gift, but it could be a bad gift as well. So that's the reason why most of the regulatory agencies now are given sufficient power to say, look, thank you for your kindness to give a gift coming from China, coming from the Americans, coming from the Japanese. But we have some rules in the countries, and despite you kind enough to give us a gift, you need to follow these rules. For this very specific reason, we want the patients to be able and the prescribers to be able to understand what they're eating and what this is prescribing. So therefore, can you please um, do something about it and give us something with a language that our country's people will be able to read. And of course, um, resources should be given to the regulatory agency to set regulation. And often, especially when there's an illegal market that is very big, for governments, it's tricky to give enough resources so that the regulators have power, number one, political power, and number two, enough means and resources, financial, but sometimes these vehicles to go in the illegal markets and to inspect and give penalties. This is the number three here, inspect against these regulations. And number four is to enforce compliance. In so many countries, we've seen that these regulatory agency, they do inspect, they do have regulation, but actually when it's time to enforce compliance, then this is very political. It's a difficult topic. We acknowledge in most of the countries, but this is where WHO is very good at assessing regulatory agencies and then setting the bar and saying these are the rules you're supposed to have, this is what you're supposed to do, and the entire government and the Ministry of Health should support you and donors and technical partners. Over to you, Shreya. Now we know the root cause. Regulatory agency not being empowered and incapacitated. But I would like you to take a step back and to say it's good to identify the root cause, but after that, we need a remedial action. And there's always a range of remedial actions that should be identified, selected. Some of them have pros, some of them are cons. And a decision tree, that's something we present in the course that we suggested you to have, is a one pager where you discuss and weigh the pros and cons of different remedial actions. Why is it important? Is because there's various remedial actions. Some could be very radical but take years. Some of them could be very pragmatic. And for example, one could say, look, thank you, the Chinese bilateral cooperation. You give us lots of medicines, but they are written in Chinese, in Mandarin. So what we need to do to make it acceptable by the local regulation is actually put a sticker on the box written in, for example, English, or this is a French setting. So therefore, in French speaking Africa, the sticker should be written in French. In South Sudan, it's going to be in English. That could be a remedial action that solves the symptoms temporarily, but doesn't solve the root cause. The root cause should be the incapacitation of the regulatory agency. And so this decision tree form makes it more formal. Number one, to find the root cause, to find the remedial activity, but to select the best remedial activity. Next one, Shreya, please. Can you take over, Shreya, because I'm losing, I need to plug my battery, if you don't mind.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Okay. So now we'll have a quick round of the next poll, and I will launch it on your screen. Just 1 second. Yeah. Now you must see the next question on your screen. So, which of the following is the most suitable remedial action according to you? Is it the relabel medicines immediately in local languages? Do you think it is train facility staff on pharmaceutical regulations, or developing comprehensive donation compliance guidelines, or it is the strengthening pharmaceutical regulatory agency capacity? So, whichever answer you relate with the most, you may click on that. And in a few moments, then I will be sharing the result.
So you have few seconds to answer this poll. And you see, we run you through different kind of polls to that at different stage of the intellectual process of root causing and problem solving. So the correct answer was number 4. Remember that the first one was relabel medicines immediately in local language. Again, it solved the symptom, but it doesn't solve the root cause. Number 2 would be to train facility staff on pharmaceutical regulation, but if the donors keep sending in the country gifted products in the wrong language, what what the facility staff will do? They will receive, they will say, well, we have no choice but to use these products. So actually it doesn't solve anything. Number 3 is develop comprehensive donation compliance guideline, which is one of the solutions. And after that, but more broadly, we need to strengthen pharmaceutical regulatory agency capacity, and that includes the development of comprehensive donation compliance guidelines. Now, donors and technical partners might not follow the guidelines. So actually, number 3 is not sufficient. It's good, but not sufficient. The regulatory agency should not only set up the guidelines, number 1, remember the slide, number 2, to inspect, and number 3, what was the terminology, Shreya, that we put in the slide? To ensure compliance.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So what are the statistics on this one to see where you guys stand, the 60 people attending the webinar?
So 60% of them thought it is the correct answer, fourth one.
Okay.
And 17% thought it is the first option.
Okay.
19% thought that it's the third option, and only
Okay.
5% thought that it's the second option.
Okay, so you see how actually your understanding haven't improved, because you 60, if I remember well, from 50 to 60, you chosen the good answer. And then number 3 is actually not far from the best remedial action. It's part of the remedial action. So congratulations. And that means that you understood the process, the thinking process, and you understood the methodology, starting from recognizing that there's a problem. Number 2, identifying that there's a symptom. Number 3, trying to find the root causes, specifically using the 5 whys methodology. Then after that, to be able to say, okay, this is the real root cause, the main root cause. Then the last step will be to identify a remedial action. So congratulations. The optimal remedial action is actually to strengthen the pharmaceutical regulatory agency capacity to enforce standards on all importation routes. And again, No hard feeling about saying to a donor, thank you for your kindness, but actually you need to respect the rules. Give us what we need, not what you want. And this is empowering the countries to actually get what they need, not what the donors need. Over. So again, it's a repeat here. Um, no need to go further. Thank you, Shreya. Next one. Over to you, Shreya. I believe you take over here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Pierre. Um, at this point, if you have any questions on the topics covered by Pierre or Sanjay, or any technical questions that you would like, um, Pierre is here to answer them. You may raise your hand or you may drop your questions in the chat box.
Please don't
Yeah.
hesitate to ask us questions. And we hope that this webinar has raised questions of thinking within your country or within in you, and we're happy to answer. Over to you.
Okay. Meanwhile, we also have another poll for everybody. I'll launch it on the screen.
So this is the third poll, and it's about more your practice of problem solving and smart decision making. So let me read that. When solving supply chain problems, what do you focus on the most? Choice number one, and it's a unique choice. The visible symptoms, stock out, delays, expired stock. These are the visible symptoms. Number two, underlying root causes. Data is one of them, training is one of them, gaps in governing the supply chain. That could be another one. Third answer, a mix of both symptoms and causes. And number four, I have never thought about this way before. This is something that is possible. So this is the number one question. Number two question, how do you currently approach problem solving in your supply chain? First answer, I usually act quickly to fix the immediate issue or the symptoms here. I try to investigate what might be behind the problem or the symptoms. Number three, it depends on the situation. And number four, I'm not sure. I don't use a structured approach. Over to you. Please do answer. Give you a few seconds more.
I think we have more than the majority. So I'll
Okay.
share the results.
Underlying root cause at 45%, a mix of both symptoms and causes, 48. Very nice. So this is almost 90%. This is great. How do you currently approach problem solving? Try to investigate what might be behind the problem. Now, it's good to ask what is behind the problem, but do you reach the ultimate root causes? That's the question. And in other words, it could be that actually you stop on the way of the five whys, but it's very important to go to the last why to make sure that actually this is the ultimate root cause, which is actually some kind of a synonym because root comes from there's nothing after that. And ultimate root cause is actually the same word. So that's probably something to take into consideration. Are you trying? Are you reaching the root cause? And our experience, Shreya, Sanjay, and me, is that in the supply chain, it's been decades that actually we've treated too much the symptoms, but not the ultimate root causes. And that's the reason why supply chain is actually lagging behind and should be way more optimized, effective, and efficient. So this is our experience working with most of the donors and technical partners in lots of settings, French-speaking Africa, English-speaking Africa, in Asia. Often um, um, there's so much distance between the symptoms and the root cause, and often, number one, that actually we stop in between, so the second or the third why. And last thing is that often the root cause is a political problem, and solving political problem is actually very tricky. Thank you, Shreya. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Pierre. All right. So now I would be taking you through this. I hope there's no network issue. I saw buffering.
No, 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 all
I'm fine.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
very good.
All right. Um, Today we have a special launch for everybody on becoming an effective supply chain manager, which was also effectively the topic of the webinar. Um, so we have a special course on smart decisions for supply chain managers, from diagnosis to solutions. So this particular course is designed for any aspiring participant who has joined us, who want to become a manager or who is already in the managerial or the leadership role in the industry. So we would be looking into three main aspects here during the cohort. First is building strong problem-solving skills. So we would be taking you through how to gain confidence in using structured tools like root cause analysis and decision trees. So our expert trainers would also be guiding you very personally through project works on using these tools. You would be very closely working on applying solutions in real world contexts, which means in your organization, how you could effectively implement the tools and the methods that you're learning. A little bit of that would also be explained in a few minutes by the people who have actually done the course. Here, or in this aspect, you would be tackling day-to-day supply chain challenges with clarity and authority. And finally, uh, you would be learning on how to grow as a capable, recognized supply chain manager. You would get an opportunity to earn a CPD accredited certification at the end of the course, which is optional, definitely. Um, and this will build a lot of credibility in your profile. As it is accredited, it's an accredited course. So here now, let me take you through at the end of the course what would be the learning outcomes. But before that, let me also tell you that what are the key details, so that if you have any questions for me or Pierre, you could meanwhile drop that in the chat box. So the key details include that the course would be starting on 13th October, not too far. It would be of 6 weeks and it would be absolutely self-paced. And we understand you all are working professionals, so it's fully online and self-paced. The course learning outcomes include you would be able to distinguish very clearly supply chain problems and their symptoms. You would be able to identify the most frequent root causes and symptoms of the most frequent supply chain problems. So here, the objective is to take you from the problems that you're facing to the solution. So a clear diagnosis of the issues being faced, which also includes applying different methods, which is linked to the problem and the root causes in context to your own organizations or maybe your future organizations. A subject, you would be suggested a range of remedial actions based on the problems that you've come across and that you would be sharing with our trainers also. And finally, you would know how to develop an action plan and monitor its implementation, which is the most important step. Um, we would be looking into building action plans and how you could actually implement those plans. So yeah, you can become a more capable supply chain manager. I'm sure you already are, but are whatever issues and challenges you are facing currently, or which you might not have diagnosed yet, that is something we would be looking very closely into. So with this, the course pathway would include a peer review segment. So in the 6 weeks, there would be 5 modules that we would be covering, as you can see the topics on the screen. And at the end of the 5 modules, you have a final assessment test, which is compulsory for all the participants to pass in order to receive your CPD certification if you need one. There would be questionnaires, formative quizzes. There would be a final project also during these six weeks. So it would definitely be intensive, but also we have taken care of that you are professionals and you have limited time. So time would not be a problem here. Now, I would like to invite our participants who actually did the course. So we have 3 of the participants who have joined us today. These were the people who did a pilot cohort with us in April this year, and they successfully cleared the final evaluation examination, and they were all CPD accredited for the course. So I would like to congratulate each and everybody who gave in their time and energy in this. And now it is very important also for us to understand after April, all these months, how were they able to actually implement what they learned practically in their organizations? So let's invite our speakers. Today we have Mr. Musa Dada from Yodma, Nigeria. He's the Director Sales and Distribution in the organization. He successfully completed the CLC4 course on problem solving within the supply chain. He was CPD accredited for that. Mr. Musa, are you there? You could kindly switch on your video so everybody could see you and interact with you.
Yes, thank you very much, Shreya Joshi, for the introduction. It's good to see you once again. I saw, hello, Mr. Vason. Hello, Sanjay. Shreya, hello. It's good to see you once again for another round of course on supply chain problem solving. Actually, it's good that we are having another set. The course that we went through, it's really impactful, and this is something that I have been recommending this course to so many people, especially those ones that are working in the supply chain ecosystem. And it's nice to once again come and have another discussion by sharing some of our experience, outcome, and impact of the knowledge, skills that we garnered during the course of this course. And I would like to also welcome all the prospective participants for the next line of collective learning certificate course on the problem solving within the supply chain space. Basically, I'm sorry I couldn't even come up with my own picture because where I'm working, there is a low bandwidth of network. However, when the network improve, I will try to show my face so that everybody can see me. Uh, in my introductory insight, I will say in supply chains, problems are really isolated. This is due to the fact that supply chain contains different gamut of activity where you see procurement, you see warehousing, you see transport, distribution, customer engagement through delivery, and the host of others. And effective problem solving therefore requires a deep thinking such that you look at the entire system, not only you are looking at a particular operational function. Just like from the introduction, I'm the director of sales and distribution, and my mandate in my own agency is to ensure that there is always availability of pharma supplies, be it drugs, reagent, or medical consumables that will be delivered to all our public and private healthcare facilities so that the end user, that is our patient at last mile, get the best. So an effective problem solving therefore requires a system thinking whereby all the different processes or activities within the supply chain are interrelated, are connected, and whenever there is a problem, we should be able to relate it with one another. So this um, presentation is just to portray some of the outcome of what we were able to see after applying the problem solving tools. Just like from the introduction, Sanjay, Vasum, and Shreya, they gave us like a form of introduction on the context on how we can be able to identify, see a problem, acknowledge a problem, identify it, and be able to come in a collaborative manner so that we can be able to address that problem in a sustainable solution. Addressing a problem while reoccurring, this is not what this course portrays. It tries to ensure that once a problem has been solved, it shouldn't reoccur. That is sustainable solution. So after understanding the concept of root cause analysis, problem solving using different tools, such as 5 whys, such as Pareto analysis, such as fishbone diagram, we were able to implement some of this knowledge in our places of work, that is our central medical store and other zonal warehouses. And these are some of the outcome of what we were able to see. Initially, we observed that I can't say poor storage practice, but there is a relatively fair good storage practice. And we realized arranging the warehouse in an orderly manner, it will support in improving the efficiency of our activities, especially those staff such as inventory manager, inventory officer, warehousing officers, to be able to address some of those problems. And we also realized that one of the problems that we have seen was we use a wooden pallet, and we have observed so many problems with wooden pallet where you see there is a creation of debris and there is a frequent accident by most of our workers at the warehouse, because almost 2 times we realized an accident where some of our pickers get injured, of which is not good for the system. So, and any environment you are trying to provide for a worker, you should ensure that there is a safety. And this take us back to the knowledge that we have garnered in this collective learning certificate. We went into a root cause analysis, and one of the best suggestion was, why are we not considering plastic pallet during the course of procurement? So identifying a better pallet that is environmental friendly, that cannot absorb moisture, that cannot create a debris, is the best solution. Even though some of the challenges of root cause analysis is there are a form of capital intensive in certain product. This is so because when you look at these two pallets, the wooden pallet is relatively cheaper compared to plastic pallet. However, in terms of environmental friendliness, plastic pallet is more acceptable. And introducing plastic pallet, it has enhanced our efficient operation, easy to clean, debris-free, and resistance to moisture. Next slide, Shreya. Then some of the impact of what we have seen after implementing some of these solution, we have realized that our shelf are organized and label bins reduce search time for most commodities. This is a simple picture of our warehouse. I would have loved to have shown before and after of the pictures, but looking at this picture, we realize that our warehouse is more organized and the shelf are being labeled, and it has drastically reduced the searching time for commodities for most of our pickers. We collected a data using a DMIC. After defining the problem, measure it, analyzing it, implementing it, and control it, we realized that before it takes like 50 to 60 minutes to make a pickup for almost 40 items within the store. So after implementing this solution, we realized that the picking time has reduced from 50 to 40 minutes to almost 30 minutes. And the good news is we continue to work on our continuous improvement, because continuous improvement bring about operational efficiency, and at the end of the day, you get organizational excellence. So these are some of the few impacts that we have seen following the introduction of these solutions to our problem. Next slide. Then another impact is we also have seen the faster order fulfillment through a structured picking and packing process. Before, the entire warehouse, there is no, even though we conduct 5S, but commodities are not being stored in a structured manner. For instance, injectables in one place, infusions in another place, tablets in another place. So after making a structured way of arrangement in the warehouse, we have also observed that order fulfillment
Sorry, Mr. Musa, we lost you, I think. Cannot hear you. Yeah, I think there's some connectivity issue from his end. I'll maybe message him. Are you back?
capacity issues. And we, based on that, we were able to develop the capacity of our staff from the pickers, from the inventory managers, inventory officers, which it has improved our operational efficiency. Safety has improved, rate of accident has reduced, and we have also seen a compliance with our standard. Then finally, is the management decision to prioritize plastic pallet during procurement to reduce incidents of wooden debris, ensuring a longer lifespan and resistance to moisture. Even though I have stated it, this is something that is very expensive. However, it has really helped a lot because of the accident has reduced, moisture absorption by wooden pallet has reduced drastically, and operational efficiency has improved drastically. Thank you, and over.
Thank you so much, Mr. Musa. This was so inspiring to hear your journey. I mean, the way you've been able to put the solutions discussed during the cohort into action. Uh, an extremely commendable job. But thank you so much for
Thank you very
sharing your
much.
experience. We also have our next participant, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar Mohammed, who is the inventory manager at Yogma. He has also completed the cohort and was able to receive a CPD certification on completion. Mr. Mohammed, if you are there, you could kindly unmute yourself and could share your experience post cohort. How were you able to bring about the changes in your organization? Are you there? I'll just check quickly. Okay, I think so. He's not there in the meeting. I might maybe message him to check his availability. But
Yeah. If you move on the
yeah,
slides, I will read it
yeah,
on his behalf.
yeah. Thank you, Pierre.
So I think what he said was his ability to identify problems and differentiate their types between symptoms to problems to symptoms greatly improved. Um, he acknowledged that before this course he was able to correct issues, but mostly the symptoms, not the root causes. And now it's better. Next.
Yeah, this is the second slide.
Yeah. So he was able to rearrange the store from what it was before, congested and poorly organized, to a well and properly arranged store. Now it's organized with dosage forms, and each rack is assigned to a responsible person for accountability and accuracy of documentation. So reduce the frequent errors in recording, improving product visibility and flow process. Next one. Yes, Mr. Abubakar.
Yeah.
Is he wrong?
Mr. Abubakar, if you're there, you may kindly unmute yourself. I think he's there. Yes.
Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning to each and everyone joining us today. Uta. I am pharmacist Abubakar Ahmed. I'm working with the Yobe State Drugs and Medical Consumables Management Agency, YODMA. I am the technical assistant to the executive secretary of the agency. So my role is to support the day-to-day activity of the agency and to also coordinate some activity in the agency. So during the course of, or before this course, we've learned that the warehouse that we are using at the Central Medical Stores in Damaturu, the arrangement, we have a rack and we have the enough pallets at the warehouse. But what we learned is that there was some arrangement that were to some extent poor, as stated by my director of sales and distributions. And of course, there are some misarrangement, and some of the cartons were placed on the floor, not on the rack, not on the pallet. So during the course of the solution, the problem solving within the supply chain course, I took personally a project on that area. So can you share my slides of where we were before? So this is the picture of the warehouse before we took the course, and we were able to see that some cartons were placed on the floor, and the warehouse is a little bit congested. And if you checked, you will not see there are some way that you need to be navigating through the warehouse, but all of these commodities have blocked the spaces. So we've now look at it, and now after we have gone through the course, we've embraced the root cause analysis to address that challenges at the surface. We did a deep dive analysis on what causes this in our supply chain system. So we applied the tools of the 5 whys. So personally, I took it and did this, the 5 whys, the fishbone diagram, and the decision matrix to come up with the real problem of this supply chain system that we have at the Yodma. And this has also shifted from the quick fixes to strategic and investigative approach. So I of developing and implementing inventory management system, SOPs, training of the warehouse staff on how to manage their inventory, and of course the culture of continuous improvement. It was there before, but then it has to be, strengthened. And we've now come up with some a recommendation to strengthening and supervision and staff engagement, and also some procedural handling. So this has improved stakeholder engagement and process analysis. So the course in particular has enhanced the ability to generate a sustainable solution for persistent supply chain and challenges. So this has been persistent. You've seen it, my director raised it as an issue. So after the course, what happened? We can see from the picture a neat warehouse. So this has, we've now identified in warehouse operation, we identify and address the underlying inefficiency. And this has improved the accuracy in stock management. Before, we used to have a lot of damages and expiry because of poor accessibility of the warehouse. And the course has actually improved the way we now had an inventory accuracy at the warehouse. And based on the recommendation, the staff were now trained, and they are now well equipped with the knowledge on how to manage the inventory. And of course, we propose a framework to be developed for engagement with local farmer partners, so that they shouldn't be just coming anytime and be dumping commodities at the warehouse. There should be some framework on the processes on receiving pre-notifications before you even start coming to the warehouse that you have some supplies to the stores. You need to inform the warehouse people so that they should be aware of your coming. And this has really improved our system. And of course, the decision making, we can now go directly to the warehouse and harvest the data. As you can see, the warehouse is well arranged, well leveled, and well clean. And the issue of the 5S has been instituted as a daily activity at the warehouse. And this has also increased our confidence in solving the course. In particular, has increased my confidence, and of course my colleague at Yodma, on how to solve a supply chain problem, more especially the complex the supply chain and challenges that we may have within the
What's happening? Okay.
within the supply chain has transformed challenges into opportunities for lasting improvement. Thank you very much, and over.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, everybody. Um, now, while the CLC 4 course is starting soon, um, on the 13th October, let me take you through how you could actually receive your certificate and how you could join us also in the cohort. Post that, we will also take some questions coming from your end. So this is a QR code on the screen. You may kindly scan it to get the link. Or the second option is I've also shared the link directly in the chat box. I'll reshare it. The enrollment fee to participate in the full 6-week cohort is $20. So you can pay the enrollment fee and you can participate in the complete cohort. If in case you would like to also get a CPD certificate for that, there is a separate fee for it. The cohort start date is 13 October, which also means registrations are closing very soon. And it would be a 6-week cohort. And as you can see, we only need your commitment of 4 hours per week uh, to also respect your time as you would be continuing with your work. It is absolutely flexible and the modules are online. There will be certain live sessions scheduled based on the availability of the participants and the trainers, which should be discussed with the participants later. Um, Now, I would also start a quick survey to understand how we can support you further in that. Meanwhile, uh, Pierre, if you could speak a little bit, if you have anything with the participants on the CLC focus.
Yes. So now, if you don't mind taking the survey, and my role will be to answer any questions. And I think we have already one question from Mr. Dasok. Yes, please do speak.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I count it a privilege to be part of this wonderful training. I was expecting to hear some more about the place of maintaining temperature in supply chain, but nothing was said on the temperature management. And I also have a concern. I am the pharmacy and supply chain for a project, Georgetown Global Health Nigeria, here in Bauchi State of Nigeria. But over 3 to 4 years now, I have not been able to achieve a 0% flag rate because we use their bi-monthly reports to be able to determine what will be supplied to various facilities for an uninterrupted service delivery in our facilities. So I want to get some advice or some things one need to do in order to get a 0% flag rate. That is a quality report, 100% quality report. Would that be possible?
Yes, quickly. To answer your first question, we took only 1 or 2 examples of food causing. And of course, a third example will be around cold chain. We have not done that. Now, it's a major issue in warm countries such as Nigeria. In the course, we have not developed any example on cold chain, but that's definitely something we could do. But again, the focus on this course and this webinar is about root causing. So it's not cold chain. There's very specific cold chain trainings and courses. So that's to answer your number one. Your number two, what do you mean by flat rate?
Okay, what I mean by flag rate is when a report is completed, it is expected that the report is of high quality. Because how we do the report, there is a column for beginning balance, quantity received, quantity consumption, and then maybe positive adjustment and losses and negative adjustment. So if one inputs the wrong figure in the quantity received, if you put a positive adjustment under quantity received, it alters the report and it make the report to be flagged. It make the report wrong, and we end up having a wrong quantity to receive or quantity to supply. So that is what I mean by flagged report, a wrong report.
Okay. That's a good question. I think it's a very specific question to your environment. What I would suggest you, if you want to find the root cause of errors in your report, is that if it's a monthly report, what you're trying to do is over 6 months to try to investigate each time where is the errors. And you might find that actually 80% of the errors are the same errors. And then you do a root causing on these errors. And then you don't treat the symptoms. You ask 5 times why our team made this error, and then try to find, therefore, the root causes. And then from these root causes, you find remedial actions, and you treat these remedial actions. You treat these root causes with very specific remedial action. Does it make sense as a methodology for you to find root causes of these problems? I cannot be specific because we have only few minutes before the course stops. But I'm trying to give you somewhat a methodology to solve your own problem. You identify that it's a problem. Incorrect.
Of course,
Yes.
it's a problem. I've identified that it's a problem, and what you just said will go a long way to solve the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to go
yeah.
to the specifics of root causing, again, a suggestion is you might be interested in this course. Now, the webinar is a very short version of the course. You get a sense of what will be in the course. You could develop your own methodology and try to do a quick and dirty solving of the problems in your flat rate. You could have something more robust. Up to you, Mr. Dasok.
All right.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
And also to add to that, I have shared the link to our WhatsApp community in the chat box. So kindly join me the community, and we always are welcome to have such type of conversations.
Exactly.
We have learners and our trainers and our partners from 80+ countries there, so we can hear different perspectives as well. So you may join the link. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hello. Hello,
Yeah.
team.
Yes.
How are you?
Mr. Walter.
It's
You
my
have a
privilege,
question?
man. Yes.
Tell us about your questions.
I'm the warehouse assistant where I'm working. We got a serious issue, man. We try also technology to mitigate this error, where now most of the deliveries constraining by just paper become missed from the end user, where now it's going to be constraining where we can just end up installing the account for the suppliers, because we need to collaborate in the acknowledgement from the end user of the item and before the company can pay the supplier. But now papers become missed. We try to use the technology, but sometimes technology gives us an error on the system and then papers become lost. I don't know, on the physical way, you don't have any mitigation measure or tools that a person maybe can just apply at the workplace for this issue to be reducted accordingly. I thank you for that.
No, that's a good question. It's very context specific. I'm not sure I understood your context in details. But if you provide us through the WhatsApp group, if you provide us more context we might be able to give you some lead ideas if you want. Are you okay to do that?
Okay.
Hello? Okay, Mr.
Yes, I
Walter.
will do
And
so after this.
if you want to, if you want to write directly to Shreya on this very specific question, which is less related to the webinar, I could give you some kind of direction. Right? So Shreya sent her email address, and she will forward
Yeah.
that to me, and then we will be able to address more specifically your question.
Thank
Are
you
you
for that.
okay with
Yes.
that?
No, for that, I'm okay. Thank you for that.
Okay. Okay. Any other
You're
questions
welcome.
related to this webinar or this methodology or potential course?
Also, just to remind everybody, it is mandatory to fill the survey to get your webinar certificates. So please do that if you haven't already. The link is in the chat box. I'm also dropping my email address. So after the webinar, if you still have any questions left, you can send it to me and I will consult with Pierre and our trainers and we'll get back to you with the answers.
Yes. And we need to be cautious of time. We are on Saturday
Yeah.
with over 6 minutes.
Yeah.
If there is no
Yeah.
more questions, and Shreya, if you're done with everything,
Yeah.
would you conclude the webinar?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much for joining us in this webinar, everybody. The CLC4 course launch definitely brings a lot of excitement to our team and I'm sure to everybody else also. We welcome you to join and be the part of the cohort. Please note that we have very limited seats and limited time left before we close the registrations. Do register your interest. If you were not able to do so in the webinar, write to me over WhatsApp, over email, anywhere, and I would be happy to resolve any questions or any queries you have. So looking forward to seeing you soon again next month. And thank you so much, Pierre, for guiding everybody through some very crucial concepts.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Wishing you a good weekend, and hopefully you might be incapacitated with more formal tools to solve problems by root causing. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Shreya, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.